What's up guys, welcome back for another YgoPro duel video. New banlist, new TCG format, February 5th, 2018. Banlist or new banlist was revealed yesterday, so let's start testing. You know, Pendulum Magicians was, I think, the biggest, deck, right, Pendulums, that got like the biggest hit on our most recent or, upcoming TCG banlist, right, with, you know, two key cards, two key components, at least from this particular deck, got hit on our upcoming TCG list. So is Pendulum Magicians still a viable deck? Can we still run it? And the answer is yes, but the deck needs to adapt, right? But again, we are getting the Electromite, and again, both Astrograph Sorcerer and Electromite is still, I think, one of the best, like, two-card combo / interactions. Like, you can do so many things, and you can, you know, pump out so many advantage. The card ratios definitely needs work, like maybe Pendulum Call, Wavering Eyes, you know, in the main deck 2 or 3. Also depends on the meta, right? Pendulum's heavy, Pendulum-based meta definitely asks for multiple Wavering Eyes in the main deck. Also the craft cards, both the Spell and Trap, is currently, you know, a ratio of 1 and 2, with, you know, triple Duelist Alliance in the main deck, but, you know, the card, you can only use it once per turn, so it definitely clocks. I might drop it down to 2. Running Ghost Ogre is definitely an option. I dropped the Pendulum Sorcerer again by the loss of the level 4 Pendulum Magician that searches upon destruction. Not really sure if I still want to run Pendulum Sorcerer. Again, I'm not running, also because of Joker, you aren't really running other targets, right? You could run something like Performer Pal, Geek Turtle, rather than running other Performer Pals. That's an option, but again, I don't think that's the better route to go to. Maybe something more Odd Eyes oriented, and then you could potentially play, you know, multiple Pendulum Sorcerers, but again, that's up to you. This deck definitely needs more testing. Same for the extra deck with Dweller, but that depends on the format. So let's see a couple of example duels. Okay, first example, 2 decks should be ready. Blue Eyes, new format, and let me double check what was the other deck. Yeah, you will see it in a couple of moments, so anyway, cool duels. The opponent gets to start here in this case. He's, well, Blue Eyes is an okay option again going into new format, and because of the level 9 Synchro, not really sure about the correct name. Is it Silver Dragon? It's not Silver Dragon, but you know, the level 9 Blue Eyes does prevent multiple, at least, yeah, does prevent you from, you know, Pendulum summoning multiple monsters, so that's definitely a huge, pretty much like a hard counter for this particular deck. And also for the, you know, the level 8 Blue Eyes that pops back row, also quite a nice counter to this deck. We know the Moon Rose, the Moonlight Dragon definitely wasn't out to my Electromite, but I think I had to go for it if the opponent is able to OTK here with something like Monster Reborn, or, you know, like the multiple Reborn cards that Blue Eyes play. Well, what can I do, right? This was like an insane top deck. Top decking Pendulum Call immediately gets me back in a duel, but again, his level 9 Blue Eyes, his Spirit Dragon, does prevent me of Pendulum summoning multiple monsters to the field, so only the, these names, is it Harmonizing Magician that, you know, gives you an extra monster on the field type, but I eventually opt to go for Borilode Dragon, but I make a mistake. Definitely should have changed Borilode's attack and defense lowering effect here on the effect of Silver Eyes, Azure Eyes, and, you know, use it to at least give the opponent's Silver Eyes Dragon 500 less defense, so, you know, I can just attack into the Blue Eyes, gain control of the Blue Eyes, and then attack over his Synchro monster. But yeah, this does give him the opportunity to go for another rank 8 Exceed play, but again, not really threatening. I'm able to survive, luckily. Again, no follow-up plays in the form of Reborn cards, so I should be fine, especially now because of my scale. One of my skills survives. Doesn't really matter too much. Darkworm, again, can definitely gain some popularity, as we are seeing in the OCG, but again, in the OCG, they have like that Odd Eyes, is it Revolution Dragon that can immediately search it out? And yeah, we in the TCG, we have no clue when we are getting that particular card, but still, Darkworm has multiple options, searches one of your skills, and, you know, has that lovely graveyard effect that you can special summon it on the field, so it gives you like a possible second Pendulum monster, right? And Vortex, again, coming in clutch, as you will see in the next couple of replays, again, going for the rank 7 Exceed play, and then, you know, like tribute summon it off, or maybe go for like a link summon or whatever, and, you know, you can just get your Vortex after that, and that's, again, quite good, especially especially during your first turn play. Again, some nice shenanigans with Electromite and Astrograph Sorcerer. Currently running 3 Sorcerer, not really sure if I, maybe want to cut it down to 2. Again, I want to make this deck as consistent as possible, but again, all input is definitely appreciated with the card ratios and so on. I maybe want to, add in another Pot of Desires, make it make it so that Pot of Desires is at 3 here in this particular deck. ABCs, that was it, ABC's new format, Monster Reborn. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of them bringing back Monster Reborn, but again, yeah, just wait it out. The OCG still has it right. So yeah, let's just wait it out and see how much of an impact Monster Reborn is going to have. Pendulum Magicians again are the strongest if they are able to start and again establish their big board. It's standard Pendulum Magician stuff, right? Go for the Starving Dragon, the Venom, use the effect, etc, etc, and eventually attack for a game. Again, some basic Pendulum Magician stuff, right? Pendulum shenanigans. At some point I will still running the Abyss Actor. Is it Curtain? I believe it's Curtain. It's basically just an extra monster, an extra Pendulum monster on the field. I believe it's fine. I might, in this, the last list I was using, as you just saw, it's not in the main deck, but it's definitely a card you might want to put in at 1 or 2, just give you the extra opportunity to go for a possible Electromite, since again that should be priority number 1 during your first turn, getting off at least special summon Electromite first and then use its effect. This particular combo I saw on Road of the and on Ready for Dueling. I'll leave the original link in the video description. It's like a 3-card combination of, I believe you need, a Dark Worm in the form of, like the Foolish Burial. You need the Astrograph, and I believe you also need like a Graph Searcher or the Duelist Alliance, right? And then with that particular 3-card combination, you can bump out this field again, like something Decode Talker or Burial, depending on your other cards in hand. Norito, I believe it's Norito Leader, and Vortex Dragon. Again, a super solid first turn field. It's different than before the ban list, with those searches and searching out your Pendulum Graph Trap card. That's not possible anymore, right? But still, first turn Time Gazer and, no, it's not Time Gazer, Norito and Vortex Dragon is definitely quite strong. Another example, again, some first turn shenanigans. That's still one of these decks with, again, biggest strength going first and having multiple options, getting Electromite on the field, and after that, again, you're just racking up the advantage. I believe the Pendulum Graph Trap card at 2 in the main deck is fine. Well, not really sure if I want to run it as a one-off, since again, Duelist Alliance is at 3, and if you're like opening with the Pendulum Graph Trap card, that's quite good. Well, your other cards in your hand need to be good, right? Otherwise, it's like a dead card, could be a dead card. So yeah, not really sure. I believe at 3 it might be a bit too much. Again, a solid opening move, this time with Skull Deed giving the both, the no monsters here on the field, like an extra attack and the defense boost, and also the first turn Omega still is pretty strong. The deck did lose Gofu, but that was coming, right? Tricksters is definitely a deck that might be the best deck going into our new TCG format, since it was one of the best decks before and it wasn't hindered, right? Compared to something like Spirals and Pendulum Magicians. EBCs, don't underestimate them, but I think they are still quite vulnerable, and well, even though they got the new Clifford Genius, I believe, it's definitely still a good deck, but it's vulnerable to a lot of disruptions. So not really sure if ABCs is going to be that super solid tier 1 deck. In this case, everything goes right, and you'll see that I'm eventually going to scoop things up. I believe here I'm eventually going for Burial Dragon, which is like an okay choice against something like ABCs, ABC Dragon Buster. Well, he has all of those answers, right? Same for Solemn Strike. Solemn Judgment is also in that deck. It should be right. Not in this particular deck, as we see in the OCG. But you get the huge Pendulum Summon off, eventually go for Burial Dragon, and Well, I keep copying and etc. and go for Absolute. Yeah, Absolute I believe the name is, but I make a mistake completely forgetting the 300 attack boost of my Absolute. Otherwise my plan would have been, you know, suicide with the Absolute into Skull Deed indeed, and then, you know, get the Vortex, use its effect, etc, etc, and then have somewhat of a decent board. But now I have to sacrifice my monsters, and this is far from being strong, right? You can just go for something like Direwolf and force out the Vortex. And even though he can't, you know, do enough here or can't do enough damage, he's definitely going to, well, have the game next turn thanks to Utopia, right? So eventually I'm going to scoop things up, maybe a bit too early, but nope, I wasn't going to win this one. So last example against ABCs again, so last example, I get to start again using the huge dragons, yeah, the huge foolish burial, right, for Dark Worm again, very solid, and Desires, whoa, what do I need more, right, going for Time Gazer as well, immediately getting the second monster on the field, going for Electromite, and you know, yeah, this already should be like a game-winning, well, series of plays, right? Astrograph, Sorcerer, get another Surge, more pluses, right? And now it depends on you how you want to enter your turn. But it seems like going for something like Omega if you see the opportunity. Going for, what is it called? Norito Leader? Not really sure if I do have the option. I don't think so. But ending with Vortex is definitely just as strong, especially because, you know, you already well, minus your opponent thanks to the Omega. And, you know, hand traps are still quite strong, right? The Ghost Ogre is not in the main deck, but it's something, you know, that might be at 2 or 3, like, quote-unquote staple, again, depending on the format. So this is currently my list. Feel free to leave opinions. Like always, the deck definitely needs work, so all feedback is welcome. Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching, and feel free to leave a comment or like if you enjoyed the video. Lithium signing out. Peace.